Morning everybody, Rob, Yoga Dad. Hope you're doing well on this beautiful Friday morning again in Bristol. Loving the fact you're joining me this morning for this session. Really honoured that you're taking some time out to prioritise your health and well-being. For this 15-minute morning stretch, live and direct from the Yoga Twins bedroom in Yoga Dad HQ. This week's classes have all been centred around this book, Rachel Scott's Little Book of Yoga Practices. So we've covered sequences from a satisfying start to desk medicine for the spine and neck. We've also done a sweet morning flow and a strength and resilience session too. So what we're going to do, and in the spirit of the fact that the football season is about to recommence in mid-June in the UK, this is kind of like a match of the day highlights, basically the best bits of the classes that we've covered this week. So if this is the first time you've joined me, really welcome, really pleased to see you here. This will give you a taste of some of the classes that we've, some of the sequences that we've covered this week. And if you're returning to the classes, then this is an opportunity for a refresher and really an opportunity to absorb some of those benefits from the lessons that you've been learning from the classes this week. Just final thing to say before we get started, big thank you to everybody that's been viewing and liking and sharing these classes over the past couple of weeks. This week alone, we've had over 2,000 views of the classes, which is just phenomenal. And I'm so pleased to see that. And it's kind of motivated me to continue with the classes, at least for the next week. And we'll just see how things pan out next week. Okay, so without further ado, what we're going to do this week, actually, for this class, we're going to start seated. So I've got my trusty IKEA stool again. But after about the first few poses, first few stretches, I'll be taking that away and we'll be going down onto the floor. So just make sure you've got enough space, both in terms of a comfortable seat, but also the space around you on the floor too. Okay, so let's get started. So we'll move ourselves towards the front of our seats, grounding down through our feet and placing our palms across our knees. And just closing our eyes just for a moment. And just taking this minute or so just to settle in. Just to tune in, be curious about the way we're feeling, sensing this morning, taking ourselves out of that headspace, that thinking mindset. Tuning into the sounds that are around us. Not necessarily letting them distract us, just acknowledging their existence and just moving on. And then feeling that body contact through the chair, through the floor beneath us, beneath our feet. And a short body scan, all the way from the crown of the head, down towards the tailbone along the legs and back down towards the feet again. And as you go through that body scan, just being curious again about those feelings, those sensations, maybe any aches or tension you're experiencing this morning, and where that morning stretch will really benefit you today. And now taking a moment just to focus on the breath, how that feels, how fluid, how long, how deep the breath is. And maybe the way in which you can engage the belly, the abdominals, to really help lengthen and deepen the breath and just create some more space in the body, but also to invite calm into the mind. Now slowly open the eyes, nice soft gaze. So we're going to start just by shoulder rolling, so forward and up to the ears. And then back and down. So we do that for a few times. Again, as I've said before in these classes, we often store a lot of tension across our shoulders, collarbones, along the side of the neck. And so that desk medicine class that we covered on Wednesday is just a ticket for this kind of movement. Now rotate around in the opposite direction. And again, maybe even exaggerating those movements of the arms just to create that little bit more movement, that range of movement across the shoulders. Feeling the shoulder blades separating away, then drawing back towards one another, and that openness, expansiveness across the chest. And taking the shoulders up towards the ears, big shrug. And then letting it all go. And we integrate the breath this time. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. And exhale, back down again. Once more, inhaling, 1, 2, 3, and releasing away, just allowing any of that tension just to fall away from the shoulders. Okay, let's take one arm out to the side and lower the opposite ear down towards the shoulder. Feeling that stretch now along the side of the neck, all the way down the collarbone towards the fingers. And just lowering the ear down towards the shoulder as far as feels comfortable to you. Now remember, when we did this class earlier in the week, there's the opportunity just to turn the thumb away from the body that little bit more, just to create a little bit more space across the top of the shoulder, but only go to a position that feels comfortable to you. And then lowering the chin down towards the chest, feeling that stretch now along the back of the neck. Chin towards the ceiling, stretch towards the front of the neck. And then back, ear over shoulder again. Back to a neutral position at the centre, palm across the knee. Extend the opposite arm out, lowering that ear nice and gently down towards the shoulder. Feeling that stretch now along the opposite side. And maybe even closing the eyes this time and really tuning into those sensations, those feelings you're experiencing in the body. And again, maybe even turning that thumb out towards the back of the room, just to create that little bit more space across the front of the chest and the shoulder. Chin down towards the chest. Stretch along the back of the neck. Up towards the ceiling with the chin. Stretch along the front of the neck. And then head back to a neutral position, ear over shoulder, and back to the centre, hands either side. I'm going to turn myself around to the side for a moment. We're going to do our seated cat-cow, so kind of flexion and extension for the spine, just to really help with that desk medicine for the spine that we covered earlier in the week. Palms back across the knees. We're going to inhale and lift up, so look up towards the ceiling, chest forward between the upper arms. Elbows tucked in nice and close towards the ribs, just to create that little bit more space across the chest. Exhaling back, chin to chest, tucking the tailbone under, extending the arms out, and rounding the spine back. Do that a couple more times. Really following the length and depth of the breath through this movement. Inhaling as you lift up, looking forward, and up towards the ceiling. Arching the spine, tailbone pointing back, and exhaling chin to chest, extending the arms, rounding the spine, and then back to centre again. Okay, we're going to take the stool away now. Just placing that to one side, and in fact what I'm going to do is just move this camera down a little bit further towards the floor so you can see me on the ground. Let's just check for the positioning there. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're going to do the same again. That seated cat-cow, that's flexion and extension for the spine. We're going to do it in an all-fours position. Does this feel uncomfortable at all for your knees? Just remember, you could obviously do it as a seated variation. Got my trusty blankets here as well, all the car toys and things like that on there. Or again, trusty dinosaur toy. Whatever works for you in terms of providing that extra bit of support below the knees. Okay, so pressing down through the palms this time. Hands out to shoulder distance apart. We'll inhale again and look up, chest forward between the upper arms. And exhaling round in the spine, chin to chest. We do that for about 3 more breaths. Again, just doing this in your own time. And you may even want to close the eyes again and really tune into those sensations. Once again, you're experiencing in the body. One more. Really feel as though as you start the movement, you're starting the inhale. And as you end the movement, you're ending the exhale. Then back to centre again. Head in a neutral position. Now what we'll do is, I just think we'll move our right hand in towards the centre. So still wrist above the shoulder. We'll take our left hand over the back of our head. And we'll inhale, press down through the right hand as we lift our left elbow up. Exhaling, bringing the left elbow across the right. And we'll do that twice more. And each time you might find there's that little bit more space that you're opening up across the chest. You deepen into this twist. And then back across. And then once more, lifting up. And then back down again. We'll take the hands back down. I'll just move around to the opposite side. We'll still continue, so this time left hand towards the middle, right hand behind the head, inhaling to lift, that right elbow up towards the ceiling. Exhaling, right elbow across. Pressing down through that left palm to allow that opening, that space, all the way up towards the ceiling. And then once more. Inhaling. And back down again. Now take our hands, and I'll turn myself back around again. Take our hands now back underneath the shoulders. And we'll take our right foot back this time. So extending our right foot back onto the ball of the right foot. And then we lift our right leg. Now, as I said before, there's a tendency just to start leaning over, tilting over towards the left-hand side. That's the case. Just lifting that right leg that little bit higher, pressing away with the right heel, and then lowering down to a point at which you feel stable, stability across the hips and the shoulders. Now, extending away on an inhale with the right leg, and exhaling, bringing the right knee in towards the chest. We'll do that twice more. Inhaling, pressing away with the right heel. Exhaling, right thigh to chest. And once more. Really feeling those abdominals engaging, belly button in towards the spine. We lengthen out along the back of the right leg. We'll lower right knee down. We do the same on the left hand side. Left leg back, left ball of the foot down. And then lifting that left leg up, just being mindful of what's happening, whether you're tilting over towards the right. If so, just moving yourself back across, moving that body weight back across towards the left hand side. Lengthening along the left leg as we inhale and exhale, left knee to chest. Back out again, twice more. And final one, inhaling to lengthen, really feeling that sensation of length all the way from the heel to the hip. And then exhaling, drawing that left thigh in towards the upper body and really feeling the abdominals engage. Exhaling back out, inhaling back out again to lengthen, and exhaling left knee alongside. Okay, just for a moment, let's now take our hips back towards the heels and extend our arms out in front. So again, if this feels uncomfortable at all, use your trusty dinosaur pillow, whatever you've got to hand, just wedged between the hips and the heels, or even across here, as long as it doesn't constrict too much space for the front of the upper body. And just crawling those fingers away in front of you, and really feeling that length now all the way along the side body, towards the hips, but also the upper body just sinking down, the chest towards the floor. Now keeping the hands where they are, pressing down through the balls of the feet, as you lift the upper body forward, shoulders over the wrists, pressing down through the palms now, lifting our knees and lifting our hips up towards the ceiling. Okay? Now keeping our knees nice and super bent, just to ease any tension on the back of the legs, particularly for this time of the morning, and really focus on that length, that pressure placement through the palms, all the way along the arms, down towards the hips, and then start slowly straightening the legs, and just start lowering one heel down towards the floor and then the other, and just playing around with that length that you're now creating any sensations along the back of each leg. Doing that for a few more times, and really focusing here, head nice and relaxed between the legs, hips reaching up and back towards the back of the room, and then bringing the heels back into a neutral position, even position alongside one another. Now bending the knees and start walking the hands back towards the feet. And as we do so, we just clasp and cross our forearms over one another, and just keeping our knees bent, just allowing the upper body just to sink now down towards the floor. Really feeling that spine, the full length of the spine decompressing. Easing any tension, particularly for the lower back. And feel free just to start straightening the legs again as you experience that sensation all the way from the heels up towards the hips. Just gently rocking from side to side, nice pendulum motion. And just really feeling the body weight, the upper body weight, just falling down towards the floor and allowing you to deepen into this stretch. Now allowing the fingers now down towards the floor again, bending the knees, and walking the hands forward to arrive into our plank position, as we did in a few of the classes this week. Now we start with our knees lowered down, just making sure the shoulders are above the wrists, Length along the back body, tucking the tailbone under to protect the lower back. And if it feels comfortable, lifting the knees back up again by pressing down through the balls of the feet and just holding that for a few breaths. If you've got sore wrists at all, any injuries, pain across the shoulders, then it's wise just to keep the knees lowered down, just to decrease the load in those particular parts of the body. Now for all of us, we'll lower our knees down, lower our chin down towards the floor, and then our hips. Okay? And tucking the toes when we get down there. Let's keep our hands now underneath our shoulders, elbows tucked in, nice and close to the ribs. Pressing down through the front body, lifting the head up, pressing down through the palms. Nice and gently as we arrive in our back bend. Exhaling back down again. Inhaling to lift up, opening across the chest. Length all the way along. Down towards the heels. And back down. And one more time. Inhaling to lift up. And back down. Now tucking the toes back under, pressing down through the palms, keeping those elbows tucked in. We're going to lift our upper body up. We're going to take our hips back towards our heels again. So forward. Feeling that length again all the way along from the fingertips down towards the hips. And the hips sinking down towards the heels. Now pressing down through the balls of the feet. Upper body moves forward, shoulders above the wrist, press down through the palms, lift the knees. And then lifting the hips up towards the ceiling. And once again, bending those knees as much as you need to ease any tension on the back of the legs. That pressure placement through the palms, just maintaining, maximising that length. All the way along the upper body, down towards the hips. And then just start lowering one heel and then the other. And feeling that length that you're creating each time you do so. And now lifting both heels up on an inhale. Exhaling, slowly lowering the heels down to a point at which feels good to you. It's not necessary to feel as though they're connected directly down onto the floor. And then bending the knees and taking yourself back down into that all-fours position that we were in earlier. Okay. Now hands again out to shoulder distance apart. Hips above the knees. Pressing down through the palms, we'll inhale and lift our gaze up again. Arching the spine, tailbone towards the ceiling. Exhaling, chin to chest, rounding the spine, tucking the tailbone under. We do that once more. And then back down again. And bring ourselves back up into a neutral position. And now we just take our hips back towards our heels. And we take ourselves down into a laying position where we started our classes at the start of this week. So we just take our feet just wider than the hips. Knocking the knees in towards one another, palms alongside the hips facing up towards the ceiling. And just allowing now the back body just to settle down onto the ground. And just tuning into those sensations again in the body as we arrive towards our warm down part of the class. And just really following each breath, each inhale and exhale along the front body. And each time you inhale, feel as though you're breathing energy in, almost levitating up off the floor as you lift up. And each time you breathe out, the weight of the body sinks down, body softens. As you feel that contact just spreading across the ground beneath you. And just walking the feet back underneath the knees. Allowing the knees just to fall away to one side. You press yourself now up into a seated position. Head coming up last. Finding yourself a comfortable seated position again. Maybe use the dinosaur pillow. In fact, I'm going to bring him in front of me. He's been my #1 friend this week. And just placing our palms across the knees and closing the eyes. And just for one final moment, just being proud of the fact you've taken some time out this morning for this morning stretch to prioritise your health and well-being. I hope it energises you for the rest of the day and the weekend ahead. And wherever you are, I hope that the sun is shining. And I look forward to seeing you again on Monday morning, 8:30 a.m. for our morning stretch. Nice soft gaze, open the eyes. Thank you again for joining me. Have an awesome day, have an awesome weekend. See you soon, and feel free to share this with as many people as possible. Let's really get those numbers up in terms of likes and views and things like that on that page. I think we're onto something big and special here. Namaste anyway. Have a great day.